Okay, so that's recording. Yeah. Yeah, so this is recording for later as well. I mean, it's recording from now anyway, so it is 10, it's 10:15. So, yeah. Well, it's nice to see boost mic output. Sure. Is that a bit better? That should be better. Yeah. Lovely. Yeah, so, hello everyone. Is that okay? Have I boosted enough? You're all good? Lovely. Okay, great. So, hi. It's nice. It's nice to see all these people on here. It's nice to see, 59 viewers. That's cool. So yeah, if anyone's got any questions, because this is a bit of an AMA, and at the moment, this is, not where I wanted to be at 10 o'clock, but that's all fine. Oh yeah, so that's my cat. Yeah, no. Hey Magnus. Yes, buddy. Have I been taking too long? My cat is very interactive, aren't you, mate? Yes. Yeah, so yeah, if you guys have any questions, please just go ahead and ask them in the chat, because I'm keen to. Oh yeah, I should post the stream link on Twitter. Good point. Very good point. Give me one moment. See, this is how not used to it I am. I'm looking at the screen instead of looking at the camera. Okay. So I'm not sure how long I'm going to be on here for, because basically I'm just posting that now. So there we go. There. Lovely. Yeah, so I mean I'm basically I'm not too sure. This is fun. Oh, this is great. I'm gonna have to get used to Twitch, I guess. So who? Yes, cute meows. That's my cats. I have 2 Bengals. I really love them. Hey, buddy. Yeah. He's looking at me because I was supposed to feed him recently and I didn't. And he's like, "What are you doing? Get your act together, mate." Yeah. So I should probably say a little bit about me because you know, I know everyone's. If you're not familiar with me, yes, mate. Sorry, I'll get to you eventually. Yeah, I'm actually just want to really answer questions if anybody has any, because I don't really, you know, I can go over a little bit about myself and everything else, but I'd rather do that on a more formal video. So you know, it's all depends on what anyone here wants to know, really. Nice. Yeah, if you have any questions about Gateway Guardians, it's coming along very well. So yeah, this is actually little Sneaky Beaker, one of the guys from it. So he's one that we're not going to show too much in the trailer because we want to keep him a bit of a secret. But there's but he's a interesting one. he's a nasty piece of work. So yeah, but yeah, it's coming along well. We've still got you know, a bunch of logic we want to refine, and we're into the content stage. So if you're familiar with games development, it's very much a case of, you know, if you want to do things right, you want to do the logic first. You don't produce content early. You've got to get a lot of stuff locked down before you start wasting time developing things like nice looking characters and things like that. So what I tried to do is, from the early days, is get a little bit of content done, so we give people an idea of, you know, the direction we're going and the look we're going for. But the focus for the last couple of years has been very much on infrastructure and game logic and making sure everything's working. So because at the end of the day, that's what counts in a game, especially in a game world like this, which is quite large. So yeah, so it's not the same trailer. We're doing something completely different. The trailer we had, what we wanted to do a little while ago was give a preview of something that was a bit more cinematic, just storytelling without any gameplay, because at that time we didn't have gameplay in a point where we'd want to be showing anything really, because there's a lot of infrastructure work to do. So I felt like it was a bit too early, so we kind of you know, put a stopper on that for a bit, and then decided to, you know, make sure that everything was really rock solid first, and then move on to pretty things. You know, pretty things are things that come at the end. I mean, if you know content production with things like, you know, AAA games and high-end films and things like that, the way things look is very much a later stage in development. It's not really an early thing. So there seems to be a thing when it comes to you know, certain communities and stuff, that they'd like to do things backwards, which isn't great. But yeah, that's their choice. So for me, it's just important that we do things the right way, and we do them very efficiently, so that we're getting a good product out and getting it out, you know, with a decent use of the budget, decent use of time, decent use of innovation, basically. And we're very much a blue ocean project. We're not, you know, we don't really have, we're specifically aiming for things where we don't have a lot of competitors. Obviously gaming is a very competitive space, and gaming in particular is something where, you know, there's an awful lot of things that are very, very similar. So we push really hard to break new ground, incorporate things that are familiar for gamers, that are, you know, at the end of the day, it's things that I really like about gaming and things that I'd want to have in a game. So for me, that's really important. And you know, build up from there. Things that look good and things that are, you know, look what I class as AAA polished look and things like that. They're things that, you know, you can always push things to that level, but when it comes to gameplay, it's, you know, there's a limit to how far the engine can push things before you start encroaching on quality of gameplay just to make something look nice. So we get the gameplay first, and then we push the look to the limits, what that we can within the bounds of the gameplay. But at the moment, we seem to be going really well. We're doing very well. I'm very happy with the way things look, and we're keeping the fidelity up. So yeah, generally happy. So how many game modules are planned in total? That's a long question. That's a long thing to answer. So I would say a lot. There's it's not really. So the way this has been designed I'm very much a fan of Tolkien-esque levels of hard world building. Because for me, that's if you're going to make something that is long-lasting and has a lot of depth, and someone can spend a lot of time really sinking their teeth into, at least for me, I need a lot of content. Otherwise, I'm going to get through it fairly quickly. And if it's something as deep as Tolkien's work, then obviously there's years and years of things you can really enjoy for a long time. But that's an immense amount of work. There's a lifetime of work to generate that. So it's taking a leaf out of that book and applying it to this project in terms of very large amounts of hard world building, and then using that and the infrastructure and the system to help provide the tools that we need to make a lot of modules. So it's specifically designed to be like that, so that people can make many modules in the future, and we'd have everything integrated in a seamless and cost-effective way. At the end of the day, studios need to build things with budgets in mind and trying to be cost-effective as possible, and a lot of thought has gone into that with how we're designing things and building things. So a lot of that comes from my background, as my background is 50-50 R&D and creative, working as a creative, as an artist and a supervisor, and the two sides of that are a little bit merged with this project. So it's on the R&D side, it's very much about my background has been with pipeline R&D and shading development and lighting development R&D, and back in the day that involved a reasonable amount of asset sharing, using things like Alembic, very early days with USD and things like that, and developing tools for interchange between shows for visual effects, and that gave a lot of insight into asset transfer and asset reuse between studios and facilities. So that side of things, on the engineering side of things, has helped fuel a lot of the underlying ideas about how this system is built, and then the creative toolkit is another side of it. So basically what I do is I build things. I like building things that build things, if that makes sense. So this project is very much wrapping that up as an idea. It's a way of making it easier to build things, and in the process building my own thing out of it. So we end up like it's a self-bootstrapping thing, while giving a lot of fuel and toolkits and everything for other people to use to make it easy for them to produce stuff in the future. So that's why the focus has been on that. As much as I love to get straight into churning out the Gateway Guardians title immediately, planning for the long term is much better. It's at the end of the day, it's what gives us the legs and the ability to do something that will give people a lot of satisfaction for a long time, and that's really the goal with this. So, for me as a gamer, I've had too many times where I've got to the end of a game too quickly, or if any of you are familiar with the idea of getting into a series of books that you really love and you read them all and you get to the end and you think, well, that's it. and there aren't any more books, and there aren't any more in this series, or maybe the author died or something, as would be the case with the culture novels. Culture novels, I'm a huge fan of them, Ian M. Banks. There's no more culture novels, so and that's a real shame. And once you get to those things, you realise that it's like having a world shut off from you. So this is a way of trying to allow that to last for a bit longer and give people entertainment for a good amount of time. At least that's my best attempt at this. So that's what we're doing. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. So the storyline, the short intro storyline, really is. I mean, this. So Atom 7 is really about a couple of things. Not to sound overly serious, because at the end of the day, it's a game, and it's a game world, and it's there for people to have fun and be entertained, and also as part of the system. Specifically to try and get something good out of it, because I see these things, immersive interaction and immersive gaming as an opportunity to affect people in a way that can be good, can be bad, and take the opportunity to do something good with it. That's my attitude. So not to digress, but so. With the overall story is really about humanity and AI, how we live together in the future, and it's a little bit about order and chaos and the relationship between them, and how life sits on the boundary between order and chaos, and how it couldn't be any other way, and in the middle of all of that, cool technology, big guns, fun times. that's generally where it goes. I mean, you could say, when I mentioned the culture before, I've been a huge fan of the culture for many years, and this story that was that is the basis for all of this, was originally, I started writing it in 2018, and I was going to make a series of short films, and they were a little bit of a homage to Banks and his culture novels, because I've really loved them. And I'm not copying culture. This isn't a culture story. This is just the idea of some of the ideas in culture about AI and humanity working and living together, or in a pan-human society. But these ideas were something I really liked, and I wanted to kind of tell the story of Earth being one step towards it, if that makes sense. So that's what Atom 7 is a little bit like. It's a little bit like one step towards the culture, you could say. That for me was the beginning of this, and I was going to write some short stories, but I decided to keep writing the world and writing more about the world and doing this hard world building, which for me is a great way to, if you want to write a good story that's character based, and you want that story to be interesting and rich, it's having a deep, well thought out, rich world where lots of little details are well thought through, for me adds a lot of depth and colour and source to the mix, and that for me is something that I find it really adds a lot to the immersion of a story. Of course, characters and the storyline and everything is critical, but that all of the scenery is also important. So with that in mind, that's a lot of this hard world building is about that, because I really like being able to dig deep into something and find that there's I really can't see the bottom of this, and that's when you feel like you can really get lost in something. So I put a lot of thought into so here as an example, we have technology trees. The technology tree for Atom 7 has been a process where I mapped out a lot of industries, made a long list of various industries in the world, their current state of things as of today, and then wound the clock forward year by year from now to 100 years hence, and took the process of mapping out where I would think these things would play out, any new innovations I could think of, how things would merge, how they would change over time, how it would affect society, how all of this stuff would interplay to create a world that actually could potentially exist. Of course, it's sci-fi, but this is I wanted to try and be something as close to being reasonably realistic as possible, while still exploring a lot of fun stuff. So the end result of that is this slightly insane technology tree that is, it's good fun, but it's something that's incorporated into the world. So we won't be putting it online or anything, but it'll be part of the what you class as the Games Master's Guide for the tabletop role playing. So that's going to be fun. It's an interesting little mess of potential pathways. So yeah, that's there's a lot of that's gone on. We've developed a couple of pseudo languages. And quite a lot of fun with technology, because at the end of the day, that's a lot of when you're playing a game and you're trying out new things. New technology is always a lot of fun. So so I would say that a lot of this comes for me. Just to go back a bit, a lot of this comes from me because I've been a huge game player since I was a kid. And for me, since I was a kid, I've had a massive thing about wanting to build things. I just love creating things and building things. I've done it non-stop. And a lot of this comes as a bit of a linear pathway from when I was little. We got for Christmas we got our first home computer, little MSX 64K thing, and we got this. Every Christmas I would get a little bit of money in a stocking to go to the bookshop, and I went to the bookshop and we got this thing called Fighting Fantasy VI Death Trap Dungeon, and we got this other, and I took it home and I thought, this is a book I've never seen before. It's got a kind of game inside it. It's a choose your own adventure book on steroids, where you play the book with a pair of dice, and it's like a little D&D game, role-playing game inside the book, and at the same time we got our little first home computer and I got a programming manual, and it was inside the programming manual had all of the stuff where talking about syntax and functions and if, then, go to, and all these kinds of things, and I had no idea what to do with it. It was I was a little kid, and I thought, I don't know what I'll do with this, but it looks cool. And then I read this Fighting Fantasy book, and I noticed that you read the book and it says, if you're a barbarian, you're wandering down a corridor and you can go left or right, and if you go left, go to number this. If you go right, go to number that. And I thought, hang on a second, this looks an awful lot like that code. Wait, the story, the code, they're the same thing. The code is the book is the code, the game. So yeah, that ended up taking up the next 10 years of my life. So yeah, and that's been the path ever since then. Is I've never stopped wanting to merge storytelling and gaming and computers all together into one thing. So through the 90s I tried doing a sort of cyberpunk style VR game system, and had a lot of fun developing some ideas for that, but technology wasn't far enough forward to do the bandwidth for tracking systems, so we put it aside for a while, and now I worked in games for a while and kept going all the way through to here. So all of this is really a culmination of everything from there right the way through to here, and me putting everything I love into one thing. So yeah, so this is all of my experience with playing D&D over the years, my tabletop role-playing days, all my video game development days, my film days, everything. It's all bundled into one bundle of joy. I should say, someone said, yeah, but so one thing I've been very, very happy with is Helldivers 2 has been a great success, and that has made me very happy because there's a fair bit of affinity with Helldivers 2, and not in the sense of the actual gameplay, because they've got a different style of gameplay there. They're going more for, you know, dive straight in, almost arcadey like fun action co-op, whereas we are definitely more strategic, still co-op fun with friends, but it's much more strategic gameplay, much more layered gameplay, and the kind of thing where, well, for instance, it's designed to be turn-based or live by choice. You can choose to run it in real time or turn-based, because the TTRPG is turn-based, and we've interfaced the rule system so the two things are compatible. And with that, there's we'll get to it when we show you. But basically, it's related to hive minds, and it's an option that allows players as a team to wind down and go into a more strategic mode and play strategy-based, turn-based play, or just go action RPG and go nuts with blowing things up, basically. So, yeah, and it's very physics-based. This is very much aligned with using your environment and using physics and using the tools you have with you to solve problems. And by solve problems, I mean generally killing off enemies and saving people, but that's still problem solving. Yeah. And so the thing that's made me very happy about that is that we have a real focus on co-op gameplay. We're not doing PvP. For my love of games very much comes from tabletop role-playing historically, and the thing that I've really loved about tabletop role-playing has always been the fact that what it really is it's you going with a bunch of your friends, hanging out at your friend's place, having some fun together, cooperatively working together as a team to overcome some stuff that you've got to do. It's an adventure. And what it really is 50% hanging out and having social fun, 50% doing stuff and solving problems together, having a laugh, etc. So for me, that's something that's, we don't see enough of in modern gaming. There's an awful lot of this competitive oriented play, which is cool. It's great. It's a lot of fun, but it doesn't mix very well with this kind of tabletop role playing style. And it's something that I've always really loved, and I like the kind of cooperative, positive nature of it. The lack of toxicity and everything is pretty cool. So it's generally something that really appeals. And seeing the success of Helldivers is great, because it just reminds us and reminds me that we're on the right track. I think we're going to have a something that's really good for people to play, and something that people can get their hearts and minds stuck into for a long time, and be rewarded for it, basically. So yeah, I do have. Oh, so one thing. I would say that it's there's a lot of there's a big love of cyberpunk, right? And I'm, as much as I love cyberpunk and I love it as a style, we're kind of steering away from cyberpunk, because we've all been drenched in dystopia for a long time. If you look at sci-fi since the 90s, if something involves AI or robots or something like that, it's a bad thing. It's going to kill us. We're all going to die. We're all going to get enslaved. We're all going to have stuff stuck in the back of our necks or whatever it is. And it's rinse, repeat. That's all it is. It's just rinse, repeat. So I'm getting really bored with it. And I just wanted to tell a different story, because, at the end of the day, we love to create conflict. Humanity is really, really great at it. So, I don't think we really need AI to destroying us. We're perfectly good at doing it to ourselves. Yeah. But yeah, so I'm like I've mentioned before. I'm very much I love biomimetics. I've been studying biomimetics for over 20 years. I'm a huge fan of it. I think it's part of an intrinsic part of our future. And basically, biomimetics is just using design principles and ideas that nature has already, engineering problems that nature has already solved. We take a leaf out of their book and we use it to solve our own problems. And generally, these things are very efficient, sustainable mechanisms that work at scale. And so there's a lot of that stuff in this. As an example, here's a weapon that hasn't been shown yet, but it's a little favourite of mine. It's called the Papa Mosca, and it's basically a Spider-Man gun. It's made by a company called Exo Brasilia, who a biomimetics company out of South America and south of Brazil, and it's effectively shoots globs of a kind of gooey web stuff, and it's basically made for restricting the movement of people. And you'll slow someone down as the goobs hit them and stick to them. So yeah, these kinds of things are much more interesting than regular kinetic weapons. And I should say that as well, kinetic weapons are a bit of a liability in the future, because the nature of kinetics, the loud and percussive nature of kinetics makes you a very easy target for things like miniature suicide drone things and other bits of tech that are geared towards taking out people with high kinetic value. So so that's part of the reason why there's a wider assortment of weapons, is because people are getting a little bit more creative, and you'll see that some of the weapons here are very, very non-standard, but it's much more fun that way. We've got all the usual stuff. We've got things like the equivalent of a Cris Vector and P60s and all of these kinds of things. They're all there, but we've tried to balance them in terms of getting something that feels a bit more. We just don't want people running around with submachine guns all the time because it's boring. It's just really boring. So yeah. I'm just going to scroll back because I haven't missed something there. Hey, where's my mouse? Oh, there it is. Yeah, so for instance, this guy, he's about as robotic cyberpunk as it gets. I'm quite tempted to show you a bit more, but I'm not going to. I will not break my own rules. So let's have a look 1 second. Yeah, we got a core studio and team. We kept this team very small. So what we're doing is we've got some core engineers on, and we've got a bunch of different artists and stuff working on different bits and pieces. But what we try to do is keep things so that we don't have too many permanent staff on, because it's a lot of overhead, a big drain. And while we've built this infrastructure to be very flexible and malleable, to allow us to have people on as needed and not start getting bloated too quickly. So and it's specifically designed to be an efficient remote-based pipeline. So when I talk about the infrastructure, there's a lot of work that's gone into making it fit in with exactly the same kind of pipelines and expectations you get from high-end facilities. That's what we are is basically small size punching upwards. Yeah, that's the way I would put it. Bang for your buck. That's what we give. Yeah, optimization. Yeah, I mean we're doing well. You know these this you know UE5 is good for that kind of thing. You know it's good for displaying things reasonably efficiently. But like I said before, at the end of the day, it's gameplay is what matters. And we've got like we'll show. I'll show a snapshot of this on Twitter shortly with this guy, and give you an idea of the look dev on this guy is at cinematic level, and but this model here, this guy, this is inside Unreal. That's an Unreal character in Unreal. He's nice and detailed. But of course, during gameplay and stuff, we have we got a different LOD version which looks very very similar to that. So it's just more optimized. So we're very happy with the look. Things are looking really good. But as always, we want to make sure that it's about running smoothly first. We're certainly not going to be releasing anything that's chug-a-lug. That's a bit yeah. It's a great way of shooting yourself in the foot. Great way of going from 0 users to 10,000 users to 0 users very quickly. So yeah, we're not doing that. Yeah, no, we're on UA5. We went for UA5 because it's I've looked at it in the past, and we've used it extensively for things like virtual production and other things. So I know its boundaries well, and it's got what we need to perform what we need. So it's great. We're happy with it. I mean, we could always have some more efficiencies having our own engine, but there's a huge amount of work and maintenance to do with that. We just don't want to deal with the overhead of constantly pushing the engine forward and constantly maintaining and building on it and everything else is a very large amount of overhead. And as an engineer, I focus a lot on maintenance. Building things is one thing. Building things is great. But building things and then maintaining them for the next 10 years, that is something else. So, yeah. So... Oh yeah, so they're very curious about the voice interface. So one thing, I didn't mention this before, but I was going to do a demo of the AI with the voice interface, but I haven't done it because one of the main problems we had yesterday was the fact that the service, we've got a server running a service that runs the AI, and it has some kind of conflict with the OBS. So it's possibly something to do with the video card or something, I don't know. But it's not liking it. The service, the AI service, just randomly crashes. So while we get that resolved, I thought we're not going to bother talking to them. But yeah, that's basically specifically designed to be as close to real-time conversation with a person as possible, because we're very much focused on. It's what we're not doing is providing a thing where you have an in-game chat assistant that is miles away from what this is. Companions in Atom 7 are the equivalent of people, and the best way to look at this is from the point of view of society in Atom 7. From the way they see it is that Eva is trying to make children, and in the sense of Eva made this statement about that only Eva is able to make these sentient AI. So humanity can make agents and these like large language models and all these things that do assistant tasks and all this stuff and be very clever about it and everything else. And in Atom 7 you have everybody has a little cloud of those. So you have you and your AI companion both use a small army of agents. There's a little agent swarm, cloud, whatever you want to call it. There's many names, but these guys they have agents and they spawn sub-agents, and all of these agents are basically a wide series of services that interact and fend off all of the things that you interact with in the world that you just don't want to deal with on a day-to-day basis. They manage things, and it's about data management, whereas and providing services for you that make your life easier. Whereas the companions, they are specifically designed to be. They have a personality, they have memory, they have short-term memory, long-term memory, they have a personality construct. They are specifically designed by Eva to be close to human equivalent. And although Eva doesn't talk to people in the world very much, or at all, really, most people seem to be of the opinion that the reason is that Eva doesn't want to create upheaval in society. So if you introduced a bunch of AI that were like humans, but they were more intelligent, you'll get into a problem of either perceived domination or domination. If they are lesser than human intelligence, you're immediately going to get into a problem of domination or being dominated. So the idea is to make them roughly humanly equivalent, so that we have a shared society and a minimization of problems with integration. And that was the way that they were introduced. And in Atom 7, this is multiple generations ago now. So where the story takes part in 100 years, these companions have been around for a long time. People are very used to them. And the end result in society, as this kind of societal math, is that you inevitably end up with a situation where the benefits of a person working with a companion, where the two of you work together and leverage each other's strengths and weaknesses, allows you to perform better than any of you would have done on your own. And this ends up being a situation that is very commonplace in Atom 7, because this pairing up gives people a serious mutualistic advantage where others don't have it. And when you start getting to groups of people, it's less about just you. And so the pairing up is an inevitable byproduct of the way society works. So in the end, we have this situation where people end up in pairs, and they complement each other, and that's what it really is. It's not about having your companion isn't your assistant. They're a lifelong friend, and in that sense, companions aren't always with the same people. You get rid of your companion, you can have another one because you're not compatible, and all of that falls in line with why they have a personality, and why that personality is represented in the fingerprint that you see for the artwork, because that gives you an idea. If you're looking at the fingerprint for this that you see, the fingerprint, when you play the game and you see this, you know that when you look at this iris and the colours in it, you can see kind of what the personality is like, and consequently, if you don't like the companion that you're with, you can go and look for another one and find one with a more compatible personality. So that's why that's there. It's a provider way of having a functional artwork, so that if you're perusing and you want to find another companion to look for, and you want to swap them out or buy a different one or something, then it makes it easier for you to select one that would be compatible. Yeah. So yeah, 100%. So one of the things about this voice interface is specifically that the companion is designed to be interacted within the game, but the game isn't all inside the published game as Gateway Guardians. So Gateway Guardians is a game that you will download once we've finished it. You'll download it and play that as a game on your PC and such. But the game world itself is designed as an agnostic rule system that was designed to be implemented as tabletop role playing, but also as video games. in the same way that Baldur's Gate 3 is taken, you know, you got your D&D rule system, and then Baldur's Gate 3 is a close interpretation of the D&D rule system, and then they've implemented it as a video game. This is a similar fashion where we've got the game system was written to be agnostic, so we're not writing it to be on a PC, and we're not writing it to be a video game. And then there's a video game implementation of that where we've tried to leverage the good features out of the rule system to get the best video game out of it. And then the same system is used to make the TTRPG. So that the idea is so that you've got a lot of familiarity, and if you're used to playing one thing, you can play the other, and it feels a little bit seamless to you. You know, if you want something to immerse yourself in and entertain yourself while you're waiting for a title to come out, there's TTRPG to play if you want. And also the AI voice interface is part of a bit of web-based storytelling game it's much simpler for us to implement, and it's a different style of game, so we're not going to go too far into that because it's just giving away things that would be really fun. But it's just having gaming in a new way. That's all it is. It's just new types of gaming, because that's what fun is at the end of the day. Oh yeah, so when it comes to ownership for VR, now this is the thing. You don't need to have VR to play the game, but it's highly recommended, because we are very much aiming for this is augmented reality system as you know it's actually a little bit hard to describe without giving away too much, but the game world itself has there's a thing called LARP, and LARP, like we have, you know, there's LARP in social media, which is LARPing. Then there's LARP, which is live action role playing, and live action role playing is very much split into different categories. You've got this kind of fun LARP that you have more in the United States. It's more popular in the United States, which is more like fun in the park, foam swords. Then you've got more European-ish LARP, which is more like reenactment and things like Drakenfest and others, which is, you know, you get 10,000 people at it and stuff. It's quite popular. But in the game world, there is this is merged with augmented reality. So there's a very popular gaming system in the future, which is this. It's very popular, and a bunch of this game takes place interacting with those games. So it's basically AR Inception gaming. I don't know what you want to. It's gaming inside gaming inside gaming. So that's, you know, however you want to put that, that's what it is. It gets very meta, trust me. Yeah. So regards from inspiration from Baldur's Gate 3. I mean, there's no real inspiration from Baldur's Gate 3. A lot of this stuff was locked down long before Baldur's Gate came out. But I really love Baldur's Gate 3. It's a brilliant implementation of a really good game system, and the fact that they focus so much on the character interplay and this you know. So there's the one thing that I would say is very similar is that the game system for Atom 7 is designed for emergent gameplay, because the story at its heart is about complexity and emergence, and I love being a bit meta, and so consequently what we really focus on is providing ways for people to have gameplay which is emergent. So when you're in combat with Baldur's Gate, you have a thing where there are so many options and there are so many ways to do something that you can just make up and do whatever you like, that this emergent forms of gameplay come out, and that's something that you get out of D&D on the tabletop version, which is absolutely brilliant. And so we're doing a little bit of that here, where we're doing we're sticking to things that allowing enough complexity in the system and enough interacting features that allow things to come out of the gameplay that even we don't expect. You know, that's where the fun really starts, I think. So yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'd love it. It'd be fun if we could use them with a movie, but I'm not sure how we get that working. So yeah, I think I'm going to stop it at an hour. I think because I'm going to get things going and then wrap up, and we'll do another live stream, and we'll get this little conflict worked out with the AI demo, and then we can have a nice little group chat and chat with some of the stuff. Well, the secret gift today was this guy. He's called the Prince of Knives. I could really do with a drink of water, actually. It's medicine. I'm licking my lips because I'm. Yeah. Biggest inspirations in gaming. Oh, good God, so many. Jesus Christ. So from the very early days, my earliest loves of gaming were Bard's Tale, the Bard's Tale series. On point. Elite, the first Elite. Holy shit, how did you fit that on that disc? What the hell? Going into the Boomer Shooter days was definitely, I mean, you can't go past Doom and Quake, I was thoroughly obsessed with Quake back in the day when we would run Quake, old school, really old school Quake, where we're still running it on modems, and I would play Quake on a 56k with a very consistent 480 millisecond lag, and used to absolutely love being able to run around with a railgun and be able to go, oh, you're going to be over there, click. Oh, that's so satisfying with a half-second lag on it. Love it. Yeah, and I love Boomer Shooters. Really love Boomer Shooters. But it was in the days. So as we get through to in the ooze and we start getting through to Call of Duty days and everything, I started to get a little bit of repetition. Worn down by the repetition of these gaming designs, and then we started getting to a point where we had a lot of what I'd class as waypoint gaming, which is basically, big map, walk to a place, flick a switch, walk to another place, kill a guy, walk to another place, hand a thing in, walk to another place, and then just keep stretching these places out, make them bigger and bigger, so you keep walking for longer and longer, and it's like, this is awesome, love this game. Yeah, and so that really that put a real spanner in things for me. I really didn't like it, and it put me off a lot. And so I stopped playing for a few years at one point. It was I just stopped playing games at all, and gave it away for a little while, and then that's when the DK1 came out, of the Oculus DK1 came out, and I built my first head-mounted display in the 90s as a garage project, and I absolutely love VR. And I thought, this is finally at the point where the tracking seems to be up to scratch, and we're at a place where we can start thinking about these things again. And this is literally where I've been since then. When the DK2 came out, I was okay. We're definitely cooking with gas there, and that's when we started getting back involved with VR and working with VR projects and things like that, and developing prototypes for the technology and other things, that at the time when the DK2 came out and then they re-released Elite, that for me was that was the big stamp of approval on it. I thought, okay, this actually does work. Because of all games, Elite was going to be the real test of whether or not that kind of immersion was going to work, it certainly did. So these days I play. I don't play. I've been so busy for the last few years that I haven't played very much, as much as I'd like to. The last thing I played a lot of is War Thunder. So I'm a bit of a War Thunder fiend, I have to say. And in saying that, what I mean is I am someone who has played War Thunder. I have literally never played War Thunder on a 2D screen. I don't even know what it's like to play it on a 2D screen. I've only ever played it in VR, and I've only ever played it in VR with a my warthog stick and full get up that I've made for where I've literally placed the warthog stick and everything in the right position so they map to the same thing as my BF 108 fighter in in War Thunder. So I I like flying German planes, and I've made my way through from the basic level planes all the way up to like these the decent quality ones. I don't fly jets. I don't care about jets, but all of the ones in the World War II ones and everything, all the way up to the good quality stuff. I've worked my way through every single one of those and got them all playing pure VR and beating everyone in pure VR. So that for me was a level of obsession that I only realised once I'd actually got there. I thought, oh shit, I really got to stop playing this so much. Yeah. Oh yeah, Half-Life Alyx. Good God, that was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So the Half-Life Alyx is the kind of bar we for that's the kind of thing we want to we'd like to hit. We want to get to that level of immersion, not with that style of game because it's a different style of game, but that's basically where we're going for quality of content and immersive gameplay. Although they're obviously they're a big company. They've been working on things for a long time. Those guys. So we specifically plan things with this to be small and scalable at the beginning. So we don't we're not trying to develop something where we've got a huge game that's this big stupid MMO that's never going to get delivered and is big bunch of bloody ridiculous promises and everything else. What we're sticking to is this is Gateway Guardians is a wave shooter. It's a single level, very very large level, but it's a single level with a lot of variety in the enemies, and it's designed to be a complex strategic combat game, and that allows us to keep providing updates, add new content to it fairly easily, and allows us to refine the combat system for all modules in the future to make sure that that's really cracking. When you want to play it, you want to be able to have something that real lightning in a bottle. So that's what we're going for. Yeah. So well, okay. We won't go like you want to go about the token stuff, but I think I've got to sort of hit pause. But we will. I'll go into the token stuff and everything later because it's very strictly there for the benefit of players and for the benefit of artists. It's not. I've got. I wouldn't say I'm aggressive about it, but I really don't have a lot of love for people who do these scammy shit. It puts a fire inside me that really pisses me off. So that, I'm not going to say anything about it, but at the moment what we're doing is we'll this whole system is designed around doing good. It's designed around making things better for people, making things better for artists, especially due to my exposure in the film industry to a lot of artists getting kind of shafted a bit for the work that they do. They get squeezed for their hours. They don't get a lot of credit. They work very very hard for things that people just take them for granted a lot of the time. So a lot of what I'm doing is built around making things better for everyone because why not? So yeah. Anyway, I'm going to quit it here. It's been lovely chatting with you all. Magnus my cat is staring at me with the worst death stare. I'm going to go feed him. But it's good to have this chat, and it's great to be online, and I'm glad we got this thing going. We'll go on YouTube for the next round, and I'll get this recording and I'll post it on YouTube for everything, so everyone can have a look at it later. But have a lovely evening, everyone. Now I'm going to figure out how to stop this. How do I stop this? Let's see.